Welcome. If you're here on live with me, welcome. And if you're joining me on the replay, I would love for you to give me some feedback after this and let me know what came up for you, because I am so glad that you're here and I'm really excited to be able to share what I'm going to share today about discovering these hidden patterns that we don't even know are running our lives. They're called blind spots for a reason, but they are unconscious, generally coming from our childhood. And oftentimes the thing that maybe helped us when we were younger to stay safe and seen and loved and accepted is the same thing that's keeping you stuck in your life and in your business as well. I love business because I think it's a beautiful mirror of how we are not free in our lives from um yeah, sorry. I have to let people in myself because I'm doing this on my own. But yeah, so welcome. Welcome if you're joining me late. We've just got started, so you haven't missed anything. But I was just saying welcome. I'm so glad that you're here, and I'm really excited to be able to go deeper today. In this training that I normally don't go into unless you are in one of my programs or you are one of my private clients. So before we get started, I just want you to know that you are not your pattern. You are a beautiful, intelligent woman who created this at whatever age you were when you decided that you were not enough. So I'm so glad that you're here and you're ready to change this. Thank you for choosing to spend this time with me. I know there's probably 1,000 other things that you could be doing at this time of the day, and yet something has brought you here. And maybe you are an entrepreneur that's struggling to create consistent income. Maybe you're a healer or a coach who knows that you're meant to be seen, but something keeps holding you back and you can't quite put your finger on it. Or maybe you are a mother or a partner and you're frustrated because you just don't seem to be able to get through to the people or ask for what you want that you love, and you feel invisible. And it doesn't matter what you are, what role you are in your life, where you are now. If you're asking, who am I now? And what is my purpose? And how do I change this? This is just such a beautiful time to be doing it. I know I say this all the time. Those of you that know me know that I work a lot with astrology and the gene keys and human design, and they give us so much information about who we are, especially in astrology. If you know where your north and your south node are, they can really help you in again identifying your blind spots, seeing where you're stuck in old patterns of protection so that you can move yourself through it. And we've just entered into, well, Chiron has just entered into our our space again, and he's going to be traveling with us for the next 7 years. So he is the wounded healer, the planet of the wounded healer. And again, what better time to be doing this than now? Because of course we want to know that we are whole, healed, and complete and loved and enough just as we are. So that same pattern, I always say, how you do anything is how you do everything. So the same patterns, as I said earlier, that shape your business or your relationships and that's your relationship with money, and people and your health, your body, your intimacy, all of it. How you do anything is how you do everything. And understanding these unconscious patterns can change the trajectory of your life. So over the next 90 minutes, we're going to explore the pattern, why you keep repeating the same cycles, even though you're doing all the inner work, and the three unconscious patterns that are quietly shaping your life and running your show, and how they affect your money flows and your love and your health and your parenting and your business and your purpose, and what each one is truly afraid of, how they show up under pressure, and how to bring all of these, because whatever whatever space that we're in, whatever period or season of life that we're in, we're never one thing, right? We are made up of everything. We are part of the collective, and the collective nervous system affects us. Just as our mirror neurons are picking up other people's thoughts, feelings, and emotions, it can be very difficult sometimes to know what's yours and what's not yours. But when we can bring all the parts and pieces of us, all the different patterns, the archetypes, the parts of you at the age that you were when you decided that you had to be something in order to be loved, to be accepted, and not to be rejected and abandoned and denied, together into coherence, everything starts to change. And I'm going to guide you through a little process so that you can really embody this and reconnect with the part of you or the parts of you beneath the pattern, and realize that all the parts of you want the same thing. Every part of you wants you to not just survive, but to thrive and to flourish and to live a good life. And then at the end, I'm going to open it up for live coaching and Q&A if there's anything that you want to share or you have any questions. So I'm going to pause there and just take a breath. And before we go any further, I just invite you to just land in your body, perhaps put a hand on your heart and your belly, and close down any tabs. Put your phone on silent if you haven't already, and just be here now. Nothing to do. And if it feels comfortable, gently close your eyes. And I want you to just notice your body, notice your breath moving in and out, your feet on the floor. Perhaps there's a noise in the background. Just allowing everything to be there, nothing to do, nothing to fix, just to let it be. And maybe you notice your shoulders dropping, softening a little. And from the space, I want you to just ask yourself quietly, what brought you here today? Why are you here? And just notice what comes up in your mind. Is there a part of you that perhaps feels frustrated, that you're running out of time, that there's a sense of urgency that no matter what you do, something feels off? Or do you feel like, what's the point? Another webinar. I could be doing something else. I'm so tired of doing all the work, and I still feel so stuck, so alone. Perhaps there's a part of you that feels like there must be something wrong with you because you look everywhere else and everyone else seems to be doing great. You've taken the courses and the programs and you see other people flying and you feel like you haven't progressed. Or maybe you did that thing again, even though you know better. Or maybe it's just a deep knowing that you're meant for more. You know there's more than this. And you want more impact or clients or income. You want to find the love of your life or heal that relationship that really matters to you, but something keeps holding you just short of it. Just notice what comes up. And whatever brought you here, just thank that part of you for showing you where you're not free. Thank your body for giving you that feedback, the feeling and the sensations and the emotions that may be coming up. And thank her for bringing you here today, bringing you into this room. And just take another breath and exhale softly, letting go. Nothing to fix, nothing to force, just a willingness to be here. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. And if any of you would like to share what perhaps came up for you, any sensations or thoughts, you can type that in the chat. Heaviness in your chest, Trisha. Yeah, beautiful. So frustrated with feeling stuck. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And thank you for sharing. So just allow that part that is grieving, that is feeling alone in this, angry with herself, shitting herself, just sending that part love. I see you. It's safe for you to grieve. It's safe for you to feel this way. And just let her stay. Nothing to do, just to listen. So, why does any of this matter? I often ask myself that question too. And I've helped a lot of women over the years and a few good men too. And there are many ways to get to that same place, which is what we all want, which is to trust that we're enough and to let ourselves free from the self-imposed judgment and self-imposed limitation that we put on ourselves. And I've noticed that we all share the same patterns. We all want the same thing, and that's safety, connection, and belonging. And we all want to be seen and loved and acknowledged. And everyone at some point in their life has hit a different ceiling, and everyone needs a different way through. And I always want to look at what is the most aligned action. And sometimes it's in the non-doing that you need right now. Because until we can be okay not being okay, right? Feeling that heaviness in your chest, the butterflies in your stomach, or the pain in your neck, until we know what it is that needs to shift, nothing changes, and we can't change what we don't acknowledge. So whatever reason you came here and you're at this time in your life where you know there's more and you want something different, you know that this isn't all there is, right? That there's a hunger, there's a fire in your belly, and yet there is this place where you just feel stuck and frustrated. It's always the same underlying pattern, different symptoms, different stories, different reasons. And a lot of the time, it goes back to finally feeling safe enough to be visible, to be seen, to love, to trust, to give with an open heart. And the woman who struggles, which is a lot of my clients, so most of you are very heart-led, very heart-centered, and you want to give everything away for free, right? And that is one of the questions that I always ask is, what could you do in your sleep backward? And you would give it away for free because it gives you so much joy. And there's a time. There's a time for strategy. There's a time for action. But until we know that we have that internal safety, that we are the one that creates the safety, that we are not the stories that we're telling ourselves, but we are the storytellers, nothing changes. So the first step, and what you'll discover when we go into these 3 archetypes or patterns later on, is that underneath the pattern, underneath the whatever you want to call it, the coping pattern, the coping strategy, the protective pattern, the action or the non-action that you're taking, is all coming from a place of I'm not safe, right? The same underlying pattern of struggling to receive money. Often that woman struggles to receive support because she's been the caretaker or the giver her whole life. Or the woman, as I said earlier, that's terrified of visibility is often the little girl who learned that it wasn't safe to be seen. It was dangerous to ask for what you wanted, or to be too loud, right? The tall poppy syndrome, too much, too loud, too busy, and you were told, sit still, don't do that. Or the woman who pushes and gives until she has nothing left and she's exhausted. And she's often learned that love has to be earned, right? That it's conditional, that if I'm a good girl, if I just be quiet, if I just ask for nothing, then I'll be loved. And the truth is, as I said earlier, you're not your diagnosis, you are not your attachment style, right? These are all the same things, just with different names. And you're not your nervous system state. You're not your pattern. Those patterns of protection were formed unconsciously at different times in your life, different ages. Generally, the big ones are deeply ingrained in our nervous system, pre-7-year-old. And you didn't wake up at 3 or 4 and say, I'm going to unconsciously sabotage my life today. I'm going to taste if I'm going to be abandoned. You just, as a child, what we don't understand or we don't know, we make up. And it's a felt sense. And that's the part, as we grow up, we learn to abandon. We learn to push away our feelings because it's too painful, right? So we're bringing those parts in that helped you to survive, that helped you to belong, that helped you to avoid pain and kept you safe. But because they worked then doesn't mean you need to still use them now, right? The very pattern that protected you then is the same pattern that is limiting the life that you are longing to create. Make sense? And another thing that used to drive me crazy with my own stuff, and I was one of those I've been all these patterns and everything in between at various stages of my life. But what I was noticing with some of my clients in my group programs is they'd all receive the same information and the same aligned actions and play work and strategies and systems to use. And I'd noticed that one woman with her personalized strategy would get results, while another one would get some change and then maybe slip back into the same pattern. And the difference, although there are a multitude of factors in play here, but in simplistic terms, just for today's training, it really came down to who they believed they were, right? Who they were being and who they thought they had to be in order to be accepted, and their willingness to let go of their old identity. Because your identity shapes how you show up and how you communicate and how people feel you, right? Because our first line of communication as children is nonverbal. So we're always scanning the room. Even though we may not be conscious that we're doing it, we're scanning the room to see, am I safe here? Who feels good? who doesn't feel good, what is dangerous to me. So what we're looking for is how do I come into alignment and stay true and honest to myself? And in the game of life, which is your business, right? What if your only business in this world was to be happy or to be fulfilled or to truly love yourself and know that you matter? And in your business, which is such a beautiful mirror of who you're being, yes, strategy might be 20% of the work that we do, but identity is the other 80%. So today we're going to go to the root, to the pattern that's keeping you stuck, because this is where it starts to get fun. And what I've noticed again over time, working with so many beautiful women at whatever stage of growth that they were in, was that in the first few minutes of speaking to them, I could see a very clear, predictable, recognizable pattern start to emerge. And these are all well-meaning, protective parts of yourself. You just can't see it when you're in it. And they're not flaws, they're not failures, they're really intelligent adaptations, right? Patterns of protection where you learn to adapt to an environment that didn't feel safe. It's think of it like your canary in the coal mine, except that now that canary is singing, or it's the cry wolf, when the sky actually isn't falling, right? There's no danger. And in internal family systems, which is another one of the modalities that I love because it brings this work together so beautifully, it's the same as the archetypes that we're going to discuss here, just with different names. And you have the firefighters and the managers and the exiles. And so it doesn't really matter what you call them, but the same parts, the same patterns that once protected you are limiting your ability to show up authentically, to speak your truth, to stand for what matters and moves you, and to be seen. I know for me, my core wound was always, I'm not safe. So if the world is a dangerous place, you want to be very, very quiet, and you want to make sure that nobody sees you. And that's what happens if you I grew up in a home with a raging alcoholic father and in a country that was at war. So we had to learn to be really, really quiet if we heard a threat outside. And we never knew what my father was going to be like when he walked in the room after a day at work and spending time in the pub. You didn't know whether you were going to get the loving side or the angry, raging, critical part. So you may be finding right now that some stories or memories are coming up for you around perhaps what some of that is for you. And I'm just checking to see, are we all good? All right, I'm just checking the chat. So yeah, super. So I'm so glad this is resonating and you're following so much. Beautiful. All right, so let's get into it, shall we? And again, just bring your childlike wonder and an open, curious mind, and notice which one of these resonates with you. And of course, there's many, many more. We can look at it like a tarot deck. You know, we're part of the whole, and all those parts and pieces are going to come up and play a role at different stages in your life. But today we're going to look at the three main patterns that I see that shape us or stop us from actually getting what we want. And that first one is the warrior. And this is the woman who is deeply capable, but still feels like she's never enough. And I think underneath all of these patterns, the I'm not enough is the core wound, right? Because somewhere along our lives we believed that we weren't, through the bullying in the playground, or the critical parent, or the teacher that shamed you in front of your peers. It comes from so many different places. And I have a whole program called I'm Not Enough, because that really is the one thing that I want to be free of, thinking that you are not enough. So the warrior is the balance. When she's balanced, she is fearless. She claims her power. She stands in her truth no matter what. And then the tarot, this would be the chariot, right? When she's out of balance, she's really pushing and forcing and abandoning her body and really bullying herself. And she's stuck in a scarcity loop, right? That's that core fear of I'm a failure, or I'm never enough, and I never it's never enough, right? I never do enough. I've got to keep pushing because I'm not there yet. And so we become very dependent when we're in this imbalanced state of the warrior. And the warrior's safety strategy is, if I just work harder, if I do more, and I stay in control, then I'll be okay. I'll be safe, right? I'll have enough. But then she's never ready, right? So under pressure, she's over functioning, almost to the point of hyper independence. This could also look um, like almost like functional freeze, right? Which is that if you just kind of feel into that, she looks so put together and strong and confident on the outside, but inside she's dying inside. She's just crying inside, and she's exhausted. She's burnt out because she's been pushing for so long that it's become what her normal. She doesn't know who she is anymore because she's been carrying everyone in this huge over responsibility of, sorry, my Zoom is having an issue here. If you get kicked off in a minute, just dial back in. I'm so sorry. But I think Zoom might kick us all off in a second. For some reason, it's saying my settings are not correct. So yeah, sorry about that. So, and that's a beautiful pattern interrupt, right? Because we want to get it all right. We want to make sure that everything is in order, as if we are in control, then we would be safe. So this is the warrior, right? She is always showing up. She doesn't know how to rest. I know, I'm guilty of this pattern. It's like relaxation feels dangerous. It's dangerous to be still. It can be difficult to receive, right? Because you're giving and you're doing all the time. So you don't know how to receive a compliment. You don't know how to receive love in a way. You push it away as a way of keeping yourself safe. So intimacy can be very strained, and inside it builds a lot of resentment and hostility. And in Chinese medicine, that can show up as inflexibility and rigidity in the woods, right? If you're brittle and and you can't move, right? You're kind of damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. So you're doing everything yourself, and so you get angry about that. But the gift of the warrior, when she's in balance, is aligned, right, in her power, leader, right? She's a leader, and she's saying, I'm going. Come if you want to come. Don't come if you don't want to come. I have no point of view, but this is what matters and moves me. And she takes that action, and she's brave, right? She has the warrior heart. So let me know in the comments, in the chat, if you resonate with that one. If your warrior has been showing up right now. Yeah. Hi. Yeah. Lovely to see you, Oksana. Yeah. 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 And she's a beautiful to tap into the warrior when she knows she's enough. You're unstoppable, right? There's nothing that can stop you, but you're honoring your body. You're listening to your body. When your body said, can we just rest now? She knows that the rest it's not gonna hurt her. It's not dangerous to rest. And in fact, that's the kindest thing to do. Sometimes, remember, I said it's the non-doing that is the action that is aligned. And also, if we're coming from a place of leading our own life for our children, for our clients, in our relationships, whether those are love relationships or with friends, children are watching what you do all the time. So are animals, right? Our animals are such great mirrors at showing us when we're out of balance. So your body is kind of like a dog, and it's going to give you that feedback of where you are out of alignment, where you are pushing and forcing and pushing and forcing yourself to do everything yourself. And then you wonder why you're burnt out, or you're resentful, or you're angry. So that is the first archetype, is the archetype of the warrior. And put your hand on your heart before we move on, and just see that beautiful warrior energy in you. Riding her chariot, she's unstoppable. And just thank her for showing up, for protecting you, for knowing what she wants. Just allowing her to rest now. Nothing to do. Nothing to do. She can rest now. I want you to just repeat in your head or out loud. I am enough. I am strong. I am brave. I am enough. How can you not be enough? Right. And now we're going to go into the second one, and this is the sage. And this one goes deep. And she's very much lives from the head. The warrior is the gut, right? We have three brains, and these tie in so beautifully with the coherence, right? We're talking about integrating the parts. The warrior is kind of like the warrior, right? She worries all the time. And this is very much gut brain led, right? It's your gut brain that gives you the intuition and the trust, and that you are enough, and the courage that all comes from the gut, from digesting life and being able to receive nourishment. And we know, right, that when we trust our gut, right, when we trust our intuition, life flows, right? We're in the current, we're flowing with the current. It's when we're resisting the way we think our lives should be that we start to struggle and swim and push upstream, push against the stream. So the sage is the head brain, and she could be identified as the hermit in the tarot. I often call her my lone wolf. And she's the eternal preparer, right? Her core fear is, what if I'm wrong? What if they judge me? She won't take action because she'll think about a million different ways to do things. And she's good at strategizing, and she's a great problem solver. But she never takes any action because she's afraid of making a mistake, of failing. And there is no failure, right? There's just choices that we choose certain things in our life, and some of them work and some of them don't. So we judge ourselves deeply when we're in the head. We're not listening to our intuitive wisdom of the body. We're not listening to the heart and the gut, and asking truly from the heart, hey, what do you need right now in order to do this thing? When we're in the head, we're disconnected from the soul, from the body. And her safety strategy is, if I just understand enough, if I just take another course, if I just keep learning, if I read another book or take another program or go to another retreat or a workshop, then maybe I'll get it right. And when I get it right, then I'll be safe. Then I'll be enough. I'll be okay. And under pressure, this looks like the head tripper, right? The overthinking. This is the obsessive compulsive um, behaviors of busyness, where we're working on our business, in our business, not on our business, not allowing our business to work through us, right? Not allowing God, divine, um, to be that open channel for you to be in service for the divine, for God to work through you. And this is, as I said, the endless tweaking. It's another course and another program and another certification. And it's the analysis paralysis. It's checking something 25 times and then running it through ChatGPT and Claude and AI. And what happens when you do that is that you talk yourself out of opportunities. And also, for example, if you are writing copy or you are using AI, which I think is a wonderful tool. Of course, it has its dark side, but it's a wonderful tool to make us more efficient so that we can show up and do the work that we're here to do. But oftentimes when you're in the head and you're thinking, I'm not enough, right? I need something outside of me to be that for me because I'm not good enough. Another coach, another course, another mentor, or AI. You start to dilute your message and it doesn't even sound like you because there's no heart in it. It's all head, it's all strategy, it's all logic. And a lot of time when you're stuck in the sage, when the sage is out of balance and she's driving from this place of non-doing, right? Of procrastination. Sorry about that. I don't know, glitchy. Something's something is in retrograde, but anyway, we're back. All right, I see we've lost a few people. All righty, so another pattern interrupt. How interesting is this today? Well, we're working on patterns that we're being challenged with this Chiron wounded healer energy and a pattern, right? A pattern where we want things to work the way that they do and just allowing ourselves to go with the flow and come back in. So thank you for thank you for your patience. All right, so we were talking about the sage, who, when out of balance, can show up as needing more, right? That she's not enough yet, that she doesn't trust. So you can start to see there's a lot of common I am not, right? The nots and the shoulds and the could have along on all the patterns. But this is where we are stuck in the head and it's analysis paralysis and we're waiting for one more thing outside of ourselves, or the acknowledgement or the validation or the accreditation. So this is the imposter syndrome as well, where we're thinking, okay, I I need more. I have to have more in order to justify that I'm enough, right? So analysis paralysis, imposter syndrome, waiting all the time, never feeling ready, talking yourself out of opportunities, and really just beating yourself up, right? You're in a constant state of self-judgment. The gift of the sage when she is in balance is the intellect, right? The knowing your truth of, yes, I am a great problem solver, but I don't need to create problems in order to validate that I'm enough. I don't have to prove that I'm enough by creating a problem. And I see this often with many women in their lives, where when life starts to flow and things start to get easy, if you have lived in a state since childhood of life is hard, I have to do everything myself, If I don't do it, nobody's going to do it. I'm not safe. If I don't keep my family safe, who's going to keep my family safe? If all of that is coming from the place of I can't have this, we can't we can't listen to the discernment and then take the aligned action, right? It's just more systems, more strategies. What else do I need? What else? It's looking to fix this all the time. We're looking to fix it as if we're broken. You're not broken, right? But it can become a place almost where we get addicted to that cortisol that's dripping because it's been dripping for so long you don't realize that you are a bit of an adrenaline junkie. And this can look like 11th hour action too, where you know something's coming, and the pressure you're used to pressure, and it's just like get me out of here. But it becomes so normal to you that, sorry, let info. Okay. It, all right. Welcome. If you're just joining us and you're a little, if you're just joining us, we're quite a way through this training already today, but I will send out the replay so that you can catch up. But just to recap for those of you that have just joined, we're going through the archetypes, which are just patterns of protection that we very brilliantly, intricately, unconsciously designed to keep us safe at whatever age we were when we decided that we were not safe, not enough, and had to be something that we were not, right? So create an identity, the not me, in order to be seen safe, healed, not abandoned or rejected or denied, but really not thrown out of the nest. So we've just gone through the warrior archetype, and we're into the sage, which is driven by the head. She's the head tripper. She's thinking, she's problem solving. And these women that are very much leading from this place, and perhaps you relate to being very much in your head. You make great leaders, right? You're the CEOs and the founders, and you have the drive, but it's you're relentless, right? You're overthinking and you're over researching, and you're always looking for certainty, looking for more data, right? And delaying action, procrastinating, and we get addicted to the busyness of that, right? It feels like we're doing a lot, but the busyness, the distraction from the task that you need to do to get you where you want to go is the very thing that keeps you in that perpetual loop, right? That cycle of never completing, never actually getting to complete something. And then you beat yourself up because it's like, why can't I finish anything? And that there is this, if we're honest, there is this addiction to the cortisol, the adrenaline kick that we get from constantly being on overdrive. So that is our sage. And if you're kind of listening to me, you're thinking, well, I'm all of these, I can relate to the warrior and I can relate to the sage. You are, as I said earlier, it's like we're moving through all of these archetypical protective patterns all the time. So depending on who you're with or the environment that you're in, how safe you feel, one of these is always going to be stronger and take the lead. So they're all there, right? And they all have a voice, just like your firefighter and your managers and your exiles in internal family systems, or any of the other archetypical ways to look at this. We all have these qualities in us. It's which one is leading you to a place of stagnation, of frustration, of not getting what you want, of not having your clients show up or the money show up and stay with you, right? That all go back to our primary pattern of safety, connection, and belonging. So Who relates to the sage? Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, Zoom's kicked us all off. Yeah, exactly, Oksana. So I hope I made that clear. Yes, you can definitely, we carry all of these archetypical energies. They're all in us. But just like say, yeah, so if you are coming from a place where you need to be in the hedge, oftentimes the head tripper, right, the thinker, will take the lead. And generally there's always one that is in the lead more than the others. So yeah, Trisha, yes, relate to both, but definitely feel this one. Okay, beautiful. Yeah, I'm so glad you're recognizing that, there's not that they're doing a brilliant job. We just want them to work together for you, right? We don't want them at odds with each other, because this is what it was happening. It's like the head is saying, no, let me think a little bit more, and the heart's saying, oh, can't we just, can't we just go and hide? Do we have to keep thinking? Can we just rest now? And the gut's saying, oh, my gut doesn't like this, and we get diarrhea or indigestion or something to avoid us. And sometimes that can show up migraine as well, right? All brilliant ways in the symptoms that we show up. It's the same as the archetypes. Every beautiful creation that we create is in an effort to protect us. Now, I had a client once who said she'd suffered with terrible migraines her whole life since childhood. And when we trace it back to when the migraines started, or migraines, as my American friends say, it was at a time when her parents were fighting a lot and they were going through a massive divorce. And she was 6, I think she was 6 or 7 at the time when these migraines started. And when we identified that was when it started, and I asked her what did the migraine give her at that time, and she said, well, if I created a migraine, then I could go to my room and I didn't have to listen to my parents fight. So the reward was that if I create this thing, then I can protect myself from being in an energy that's not kind or safe for me. And when we started to work through all of those, because there was other things that we needed to take care of in that physiology of where am I creating my life as a headache in her current life, and yeah, this is interesting too. It's just like I remember my mom always used to say, "Don't be a pain in the neck." It's a very African, South African or Zimbabwean saying. Or she's like, "You're giving me a pain in the neck," and who wants to give their mother pain? So what happens? We create a belief that says, I'm not allowed to ask for what I want because it causes pain to the people that I love. So again, I digress a little bit off the archetypes, but it all I think you're starting to see, if you're new here. I know, Oksana, this work that I do very well. So everything is connected to everything. How we do anything is how we do everything. So yes, we're a mixture of everything, just as we are the I am, and we are also Ubuntu, right? I exist because you exist, and we're all connected to this beautiful web of life, right? That we're all part of the collective consciousness. So there is the me and there's the not me, and the not me is the pattern, where we've decided that we are separate and alone, and nobody's got our back and nobody's coming to save us. And the parts of pieces are what we're bringing home by finding out how the patterns have worked so well to protect us, and are now hurting you because you can't get to where you want to be in your life or your health or your business. All right. So the third pattern is the mystic. And this is the woman who sees everything, right? She's the alchemist. She would be the visionary, maybe the projector in human design, right? She sees things before other people. She's deep and intuitive and very articulate, and she's very perceptive. And this can also look like the child that has a disorganized attachment style. So again, remember, you're not your diagnosis, you're not your labels, right? This is not an identity. This is just a way of looking at how you've been shaped by your environment. So you're not your pattern, but looking at, okay, I have a disorganized attachment style. How brilliant was I as a child to be disorganized, which may look like absolute chaos and pandemonium for somebody to watch the way that I work. And it makes you very intuitive, very psychic, because you're tuned into the micro facial expressions and the small details. You're very good at pattern connecting and detail orientated. So these are the artists and the creatives, right? She really knows what's going on before you said anything, or before she actually gets the whole picture. She's already in it, right? There's a felt sense of knowing in it. And this is the heart, right? This is the heart brain that is in action. But when she's out of balance, she filters out. She doesn't trust what she sees. She starts to block it, or she sees her gifts as a curse. In fact, I have a beautiful client called Peter, who highly sensitive, like most of us on this call, very heart-led, um, and very creative. And he was saying, "Oh, I find it such a curse that I'm in other people's heads, and I can pick up, what they're feeling and what's going on." And his joy of business is that he is the person that is called when somebody dies and there's an estate that needs valuations on art and pieces of value, where there's often a lot of family disconnect. He goes in and values all of that. So to be able to recognize that he is, right, that he is a mystic, that he has this innate capacity to be able to empathically feel people and meet them where they are without draining his life force energy, without seeing it as something that he wants to switch off because he doesn't know where he begins and the rest of the world. He doesn't know what's his and what's not his, and that very much is the mystic energy. So when we got him to actually understand the pattern and get all three of his head, heart, and gut brain in alignment, he's starting to enjoy his work, right? He's starting to see the gifts and capacities that are very unique to him as something that really makes him stand out in the work that he does. And that's what we want, right? In doing all of this, we don't want to be filtering. We don't want to be rejecting the intuitive, empathic part of the mystic. We want you to stand in your truth. And when she is not in her truth, she edits herself, right? She mutes herself. She softens the truth. She holds back from the edges, right? And if you're a seer like that, and you are speaking your truth, that can feel very dangerous, right? But how someone else is receiving that is the gift, right? Because you're showing them where they're not free. And I say this to my clients all the time too, is that you can't want something for someone more than they want it for themselves. You guys showed up live today, and there's something beautiful when we gather in a room like this, in the connection that's very different from listening to something on a replay or later on. And sometimes later never comes if you're too busy doing in the head tripping of or the pushing of the warrior or the sage. So she is, as I said, the heart. She is her own North Star. She knows who she is. She knows what she's doing. And she can be a bit of a dreamer, right? And sometimes when there's too much heart, there is no there's no, we're very much in in the air, right? We're very airy fairy. It's unicorns and rainbows, and we need to be grounded. We need riverbanks, which is the head, right? That gives us the system, the structure for all this beautiful, beautiful cosmic divine truth and creativity to come through you. It needs riverbanks, right? So that the work flows. So we need to find a way to ground that. Otherwise, you're very scattered and people don't understand what it is that you do or who you're here to serve because you're all over the place. And she can also go into hiding, right? She's what I call my sacred hider, because she is so talented and so gifted, and yet she's afraid that people are going to think she's too woo or too out there. So she mutes her voice and she holds back on what actually makes her unique. She's the polished ghost, in a way, because she's brilliant, but no one can see her, right? And then you wonder why, you're hearing crickets when you put something beautiful out into the world. It's on sky hooks, and it's yes, it's beautiful. So these are the people that show up, and they're listening, they're reading your emails, or they're loving your Facebook, liking your Facebook post. But when it comes to taking action or committing to, they don't want to work with you because they don't know what you do. Um, and the core fear of the dreamer, of the mystic, is I'm going to get disappointed, right? I'm going to be judged as too much. I'm going to get my heart broken again. So I'd rather reject myself than feel that kind of pain again, right? And the safety strategy, this design architecture of the sage is, of the mystic, is if I protect my heart and I just wait for the right moment, the divine right moment, then I'll be okay. But that divine moment never comes because she can't hear her intuition. She can't breathe life into her visions, right? From that intuitive gut knowing. It can't come into the heart because the heart is closed, right? The heart protection. And I always say, an open heart is its own protection. So under pressure, the mystic is hiding. She's kind of making herself invisible. She's waiting for the right time, and she's dreaming. And she's like, oh, if I wish things would, if only things would be different. So the struggle very much is in the spiritual bypassing is, and a good question to ask would be, can I be okay with the way my life is right now? Can I be okay right here, right now? Because she's resisting the way things are. Actually, all of them are, but more so in the mystic. She's the woman that won't charge, right? What she doesn't see her value, firstly, but she won't charge what she should be, in order to have a good life and provide for herself and her family, because it doesn't feel good, right? It's not spiritual to have money. And the most spiritual act you can have is charge for your gifts so that you can do more with the resources and give more. But she's the one that would be saying, yeah, I have this beautiful thing, but nobody showed up. And I've been in this heart-led place myself many, many times. Maybe you can relate. But she's like, I don't want to, I don't use social media. Oh no, I'm not gonna go and post on there. It's too noisy. And I oftentimes look at what's been happening in the spiritual circles, or in the coaching circles, and how noisy and busy it's become. And there's a part of me that's like, I don't want to be part of that, right? Part of that noise. And I don't want to have to, it feels almost like a fight, right? Because it's just like I have to fight to be seen, which is very much our first archetype, right? The pusher, who's saying, I have to hustle harder, I have to post more, I have to be more consistent, because that's the only way. And when you start going against your heart, your soul knowing what your mission, vision, and purpose is, and you start doing strategy and implementing marketing and things that go totally against your nature, it's not going to work and it's not going to be sustainable. And I don't know, maybe you relate to doing that. I certainly have, you know, adopted business coaches methodologies and done all the work and pulled my hair out and done the launches and done things the way that they said to do it. And it was only years later when I actually realized that it would never work for me because it was going totally against the nature of how I function, how I operate. And again, this is what I love about human design and looking at the qualities of what makes you you. Because if you're coming, I can't remember what it is, but I'm a manifesting generator, but it's just like I have to wait before I respond. So when I realized, oh, no wonder that didn't work. No wonder this thing didn't happen, was because I was coming up with all these beautiful creative inspirations. I was talking about nervous system regulation and all this stuff 25 years ago, and nobody really wanted to hear about it. And so I'd show up and I would speak about it, and nobody would show up. So I have to wait before I respond. So understanding what pattern or archetype is leading you either closer toward what you want or further away from what you want. Once you know that, and you can get all three of these brains and all parts of you working together because they all want the same thing, to keep you safe. They're not interested in creativity. So when you can start understanding and having compassion for the parts, then you can say, you know what, I hear you. Thank you for showing me that. Thank you, but it's okay. Nothing to do. I got this, right? And you start to lead as the wise adult, as the warrior woman on her chariot that comes from a heart that's on fire and a belly that just knows that you were born to do this stuff. So that's who she is, right? There we have it. The warrior who pushes until she burns out and loses her joy along the way and doesn't even know why she started the business in the first place. And the sage who hides her gifts and feels all alone. And then you have the mystic who's waiting for certainty and, in a sense, frozen in fear. She needs to thaw out, right? She needs to find a way. And all of them need the same thing, right? They need to know that they working together create your internal safety. They're just different expressions. Same roots. And it all starts with, how safe am I in this moment? Because your nervous system learned visibility isn't safe and being chosen isn't safe, right? You're like a target. What was that game we played as children? Pin the tail on the donkey. And it's just like, oh crap, I don't want to be there. And being paid isn't safe, and being fully seen isn't safe. It all comes back down to safety. So it's created intelligent coping strategies, patterns of protection, adaptive patterns, brilliance. When they work together, they work. When they don't, they create a lot of inconsistency. And that is what we're here to change. So let me know how this is landing so far for you. An open heart. Don't you love that? I love that. Yeah. Yeah. It's one of my favorite, say when I heard that, I was just like, yeah, beautiful heart coherence, beautiful heart brain. It's the most incredible part of us that knows like it knows like it knows. So always feels safer to be invisible. Yeah, I totally hear you. Perfect sacred hideout. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So before we go on, out of those three patterns, if you sort of check in, I want you just check in with your body right now, again, and just notice which one of those patterns are you in, or have you been leading, has been leading you away from what you want right now? Which one is stronger? Sage. Right. Beautiful. She's brilliant. They're all brilliant. All right. So there you have. Trisha has her sage saying, I got to understand this. I've got to get it right. I can't do it until, I've got to, just let me tweak it one more time, right? Let me keep myself safe in that, right? In the busyness of that. And the mystics in the room saying, oh, I just got to I got to protect my heart. It's just too painful to be seen, I hope, it's the hope that keeps you alive and keeps you safe. And the warrior's on her chariot, and I can see her, she's like whipping herself, saying, keep going, come on, I gotta take that action, come on, let's go, and her body's saying, can we just rest now? All wanting to keep you safe. None of them are wrong. They just simply forgot how to work together. And this is coherence. This is when the head, the heart, and the hara, the gut brain, are pulling you in different directions. And life gets to feel hard. Everything is a struggle. Just like you're pushing a rock up a mountain, or you're swimming against the current rather than letting the water carry you. And when we're in that place of balance, sage and mystic and warrior all working together, head, heart, and gut, all in coherence, choice returns, self-trust returns. You feel peace inside, right? It's peace, not presence. And there's a part of you that knows anything is possible from that space. So you've all decided that you're ending the cycle of abuse right now. You've identified that pattern, and you know that the endless overthinking, the chasing certainty, the collecting more information are all just ways to keep you safe. So I want you to write this down and just spend a moment asking yourself, which one of these is making the decisions for you in your life right now? Is it the frightened pattern, or the woman who knows who she is, who knows that she is enough, always been enough, always safe and seen and loved and protected, never alone? Who's making the decision? Giving away your knowing as it, yeah, relates to children and animals. Beautiful. Yeah, warrior seer. Yeah, very strong. Yeah. Yeah, procrastination is such a beautiful way of keeping us safe. And yet we're taught that it's something that we need to fix, that we have to get it, we have to push through, and that we, it's just like, stop being a wuss. They say in Africa, it's like a wuss. It's like, stop being a loser, stop being so pathetic, right? There's a lot of shame that is projected to us when we can't make up our minds. That if nobody's ever asked you what you want, how do you know what you want? So this is a beautiful way of going back in, and you can do this after our conversation here. It's just ask each part of you, your head, your heart, your gut, your sage, your warrior, your mystic, what do you need in order to set me free from this pattern? To know that you don't have to take the lead anymore, that we can do things differently. So asking each one of those parts of you, what do you need? All right. Okay. So I want you to close your eyes. And again, I'm really sorry. I keep getting this error message on my Zoom. So if we get kicked off again, I'm going to keep my eyes open so I can make sure that we're still connected. If we get booted off and you're willing, please come back in if I lose you. So right now, I want you to just close your eyes if it's comfortable and safe for you. And I want you to think of that archetype that you have identified, the one that is the strongest one, that leads your life most often right now. And bring her up, see her in front of you, notice her. Just connect with her and ask her, how old are you? And if nothing comes, that's fine. It could be multiple ages. And again, because there's a pattern of protection here, sometimes we can't recall that straight away until there's more safety online in our nervous system. But if you have the age of her, just ask her, what were you protecting me from? What are you protecting me from? Good. And now ask her, what do you need from me that you never received up until now? What do you need? And I want you to ask her, what are you afraid would happen if you just stopped doing what you think you have to do for me? What are you afraid would happen? You're doing great. You can always come back and spend time with her again. We're almost there. So ask her now, what do you most want me to know? What do you need to tell me that if I knew it would change everything? Good. And I'll ask her, what would change if she didn't have to carry this alone anymore? What if she knew that she was not alone, that she is so supported? And just thank her for showing up and for sharing that with you, for keeping you safe. And I want you to tell her that she doesn't have to do this alone anymore. Your warrior doesn't have to keep pushing. The sage doesn't have to have all the answers. In fact, the bravest thing that you can do is to say, I don't know. And what if a mystic didn't have to keep hiding, putting up her invisible shields? What if a mystic allowed herself to be seen in her weird, woo, magical, alchemical way? And what would become possible if you, each one of them, the warrior, the sage, the mystic, speaking to all three of them, ask them what would become possible if you trusted one another? If you allowed the head, the heart, and the hara, all three brains, to work together through all these beautiful archetypical energies for you rather than against each other. Just notice what comes up, what arises. And if you feel like there's more you'd like to revisit each one of them, just know they're always available there. They're your guides, just as your guides and your ancestral helping spirits, they're always around us, are the angelic realm. We have so many seen and unseen entities and beings that are just waiting for us to ask for support. And these patterns are no different. You see? Hi, Brenna's back. Oh dear. Hey, Bren. Sorry, we're having pattern interrupts. Quite funny, actually. I always kind of say that too. It's just like, can I be willing to be the joke of my own reality and not take myself so seriously that I somehow can control when Zoom is going to behave or not? So thank you for coming back in, and just give everyone a little bit more time. Thank you for staying with me. I was just saying to Trisha, yeah, it's living the work, always living the work. And yeah, my head tripper, my perfectionist, they started to raise their hackles on the third time we got kicked off during this time together. And just like, it's okay, we're here. The sky is not falling. Nobody died. I am safe. We're okay. We're all back together. So thank you for staying with me. I know you came in late, Brent, but I'll be setting the replay out and without the pattern interrupt, so you can listen to that from the beginning. So yeah. So that's a beautiful exercise that we have just been through, and I encourage you to use that a lot. Whenever you sort of feel that something's out of incongruence, right? That the head, the heart, the hara, that one of your dominant patterns is literally bullying you to do something or pushing you into something that you're not ready for, or that you don't think you're ready because the sage says she doesn't have all the answers yet. So yeah, come back and know, that you can have these conversations with any of your organs, endocrines, body parts. You can speak, everything is conscious. So why would it be any different to actually just be gentle and push pause on the world and be able to say, I'm going to just, can I hold a sec? Can I just be with this? Nothing to do, nothing to fix. Can I be okay where I am right now? And to just see what comes up, and doing the same with the head, the heart, or the gut brain. I think some of you were on the webinar where we talked about the Holy Trinity of the head, the heart, and the hara, and what it takes to be in alignment on the vertical axis of our electrical being, right? We are electrical beings. Tarisha, what do you do if you don't get an answer when you ask them a question? Be patient. Be patient. I always kind of feel like, well, why? Of course, I'm getting the silent treatment. Of course, I haven't asked you anything my whole life. I've pushed you away. So I always kind of have compassion for myself and for the part that I'm asking for insight from, because trust is something that's built, right, on the action, right? It's can I be trusted to do what I say, not say what I do. So patience, it's a beautiful lesson in compassion and patience and building trust within ourselves. Because of course, if I haven't spoken to you or cared what you think my entire life, and all of a sudden I'm asking you these very deep questions, what would you say to somebody that showed up out of nowhere, where there was still some hurt involved? It's like, what the hell? I'm not going to talk to you. I'm still angry with you. So it's just like everything is an opportunity to heal. Everything is an opportunity to soften into, Tricia. So I hope that was helpful. So any other questions? I'm going to open up for Q&A in a minute, but I just want to honor you and thank you for staying with me through the Zoom interruptions, but also just to be here, that you showed up for yourself, and what you've done today is get so much awareness, and awareness changes everything. But without integration, it just becomes another interesting thing, right? Another insight that changes nothing, which is often what happens, right? We'll go to a retreat, or we'll go to do a workshop, and we have the high of the weekend and the people and the buzz of the energy, and then we come back into our world and things go back to how they were before, and then we make ourselves wrong and we start the same pattern repeat. So eternally searching, right? The search for happiness, the search for contentment, the search for safety, the search for connection. It never ever ends. So we got to do it like we did today, from compassionate inquiry, from a loving place, from an honoring place, and an honest place of knowing that everything I'm looking for is inside of me. I am safe. I am enough. I am love. And that I don't have to know everything, right? That I am all or nothing. I am no more important than the ant that walks across my windowsill, and the ant is no more important than me, right? That I coexist and I am playing my part to the best of my ability. So that is probably all we have time for today. If you like this, I am working the work with you, and one of my practices right now is an honoring and a commitment to share my gifts and talents in a deeper way, because I tend to do in the past the pattern of the hermit, and I'm working on my own growing of my capacity for safety, that it's safe to be seen, it's safe to show up. And when it comes from a loving place, an open heart needs no protection. So I'll be doing more of these, and if you like this, if you'd like more of these, stay on my mailing list so that you know what's happening. And if you're interested in working deeper on this, I invite you to book a call, a turning point call. As I said earlier, we're in this beautiful chironic energy, which is such a great opportunity to actually look at the parts of us that are ready to come home to the heart, to heal those old wounds and trauma patterns, and know that we no longer have to come from leading from these over protective patterns. So if that interests you, no pressure, just a conversation, then I invite you to book. And I'd love for you, if you want, I'll open up to Q&A. So if you have any questions, I'd love to see your beautiful faces. Oh, it's a pleasure, Tricia. No problem. So yeah, if anyone has any questions, you can just unmute yourself, and if you have any insights, awarenesses. And if you don't, or if things come up later on, you know where to get hold of me. And I'll post the link to today's training. I hope you found that helpful and fun, to look at what your pattern is, and to just know that you get to decide whether those coping strategies and protective patterns are what you want to be leading you away from the life that you want, or whether you're willing to lean in and look at, how do I integrate this in a way that it works for me. So again, thank you for showing up. Thank you for being here. I so appreciate you all, and I can't wait to see what becomes possible for you next. Oh, thank you for being here, Oksana. All right, take care, everyone. Lots of love.